What is up, High Profit family? Chase Krause here. Wanted to jump on and send this video today. So today is the day before Holy Thursday. It's April 5th, Wednesday. It's a day before the most holy season, most holy time of the year, the Triduum, right? So we have Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and then obviously Holy Saturday, going into the blessed evening of Holy Saturday night, Easter Vigil, right? And these are the three holiest days of the year. These are the 3 days of the year that are kind of, as Pope St. John Paul II says, he says it's the fulcrum of the liturgical year, right? So it's the hinge on which everything kind of leans on, right? And I wanted to read just really quickly something he said on this date in 2003, right? So a long time ago, not that long ago. Anyway, so he says this about this season we're about to enter into. He says it on Wednesday before Triduum. He says, commemorating this central mystery of the faith, namely the life, death, and resurrection, also involves the commitment to put it into practice in the concrete reality of our lives. It means recognizing that Christ's passion is continued in the dramatic events which, unfortunately, still in our time afflict so many men and women in every part of the earth. The mystery of the cross and of the resurrection, however, assures us that hatred, violence, blood, and death do not have the last words in human lives. The definitive victory is Christ, and we must set out anew with him if we want to build a future of authentic peace, justice, and solidarity for everyone. And I love this quote for a lot of reasons, but I want to zoom in on the part of this involvement and the commitment to put this mystery of the Paschal mystery into concrete reality in our lives. And so obviously I'm going to approach this from kind of how we always do, namely this hermeneutic of gift, this law of self-gift that Pope St. John Paul talked about and spoke of, and that we kind of approach fitness, nutrition, faith, a holistic Catholic lifestyle of. So what are some ways that during this Lenten season you failed to implement the Paschal mystery into your life in a very concrete, real way? The whole point of the Lenten season, the whole point of what we talk about, namely self-mastery for the sake of self-gift, it's to be concrete, to be very practical, to make the Paschal mystery a reality in our lives. We strive for self-mastery. We strive to conquer ourselves. As St. Paul says, we pummel our bodies so as to win the race. The reason we do that isn't just because we're like mad at ourselves or we want to punish ourselves, but rather we need to make more room for the Holy Spirit, for Christ's salvific grace, in order to conform us to him, in order to concretely serve those around us. Right? We strive for self-mastery for the sake of self-gift. So during this Lenten season, it's kind of what Lent's about too, right? Prayer, almsgiving service. It's about preparing more room in your heart to be conformed to Christ. So this Lenten season, did you fail in any of that, or did you do really well? But after the Triduum, these next 3 days, I invite you to dive into, in what way during this Easter season, leading up to Pentecost, do I need to give of myself fully? In what ways is my lack of self-discipline, is my lack of temperance stopping me from giving of myself fully to my primary vocation? Now, whether that's, your wife, your husband, maybe you're a pastor, maybe you're a priest or a nun or a brother, consecrated brother, whatever it is, and maybe you're single, right? We all have our capital V vocation that we're striving to. And obviously, if we're single, if we haven't entered into that primary vocation, you have your lowercase v vocation, right? Of in your job, in your workplace, maybe it's your fiance, maybe it's your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. In what ways are you called to serve them, to die to yourself for them? So I really encourage you, if you've never been to the Triduum liturgy, I would invite you to go to at least one of them, right? It's really beautiful. You can go to all three because, if you don't know, it starts on a Holy Thursday night and the liturgy doesn't end until the Easter Vigil, right? So go to at least one of them. Go to all three if you can. It's just really, really beautiful. And I get emotional every time I'm at the Easter Vigil, especially if I can go to the other parts of the liturgy as well. And so make the Paschal mystery a concrete reality in your lives this Easter season. And reflect during these next few days on what areas, what lack of self-control do I have that's stopping me from giving myself fully? Because remember, what's the point of this life? It's to, be united with Christ in heaven. And what does that mean? Well, it's to imitate him and his perfect gift of self to the Father. Scott Hahn says, become an icon of the icon of God. We become little Christ. We must conquer ourselves in order to do that, though, because you can't give what you don't have. So I'm praying for you during this Easter season, during these next 3 days of the Holy Triduum. Pray for me and my family as well. God bless, guys.